Hey guys, I am making a video today to just share with you some more things recently that I have seen, and I'm not going to go into detail of the dreams, but I have seen a total of 4 angels now. Two of them were trying to warn me about some darkness that was trying to come at me in my life a little earlier, and the angel itself, he had wings like where his arms were, and then he had a wing coming out of his chest, a wing coming out of his back, but one big eye in the center. So, like, he had an eye in his center. It was really unique. And his other partner looked like him but held a sword. And then I went into another dream where this angel, well, I didn't know she was an angel at first. We were like in my sister's house, and there was this lady there, right? And so this house had been my grandparents' house, and it had been in their care for a while. And so in my dream, there was this lady there that I didn't recognize. I was staying down in the basement. The house is a huge house. It's a double story, and it's like a 5 bedroom and stuff like that. But she was telling me, she was looking at me, and she had long blonde hair, and she was telling me, she's like, I need a place to stay. And I'm like, well, you can stay with me down in the basement. I'm like, there's extra rooms there. There's no reason why you couldn't stay there. And so she disappeared, and next thing I know, I'm downstairs in the room, a room, and a bedroom at that. And all of a sudden, there's like this dark shadow, like this giant dark shadow that is like coming out of this. It looked like a jello type hole in the wall. It was really weird. And he was coming out, this shadow thing, and he was trying to come at me. And all of a sudden, that lady reappeared in my dream, and she had this canister. But this shadow person was huge. I mean, like giant. Like, he took up a ways on the wall. And so she had this canister, and it's like a metal canister, and she opens it, and all of a sudden out shoots a hand of light. Like, it looked like a hand, but it seemed like the shadow figure, though, split into two. Like, there were two entities that made one giant looking one, because the hand of light, Ray, that went on their necks, it went around their necks like leashes. And so it was strangling these shadow things and restraining them from getting me. And all of a sudden, I felt like the air, like the electricity in the air increased. Like, it shot up potentially. Like, it was electrified. The air was. It felt like something was going to explode, just like there was going to be a loud explosion. That's what I was waiting on. And I don't know why I was there. I was just observing. I should have actually been probably leaving, but I found it fascinating to watch this. And then all of a sudden, another angel comes in, and she literally was an angel. She was wearing like a light brown robe, and had her hair like, well, I say her, but her features were more delicate, and not that it was a he or a she. It looked like a her, which is hard to explain. But she had her hair in like a braid off to the side, and she held a sword, and she had one sword that was restraining the darkness in her right hand, was stretched out against it. The lady that held the canister was standing in front of her. I was standing off like right here just watching this. And then the angel put her other arm out, like she was holding it back, and the darkness was increasing so great that all of a sudden, this angel, she's digging her heels into the ground, and she looks at me and she goes, you need to go now. And the air was just intense, and it was magnified. It was crazy. And so I'm going out to the kitchen, of course. I'm in a hurry, and I have to drink water. Like, water's my go-to. And so I'm sitting there looking for containers in my hurry to get out of the house. I'm like, I really need to drink some water. And I couldn't find a container. Then all of a sudden comes in my grandson, and he's like, here you go, Grandma. He's like, here's some water for you. And he had a bag of ice. He puts it in the ice chest. There was bottles of water. So I was able to get out of that house. But just barely. And I know that we were told a while back to be packing and to get ready to move. And so here's another thing that was just a coincidence with me, right? So the other thing that was a coincidence was we're as we're packing, I was grumbling about this weekend because I have been so tired from all the boxes. The Texas heat is just, incredible. I mean, all of you who live in Texas, you know what I'm talking about. So, anyway, I haven't been wanting to go out in the garage because we don't have air conditioning out in the garage, and it kind of stinks out there, so, like, heat wise. And so, I'm not wanting to pack yesterday, and I'm tired. It's a Saturday. I'm like, we just had Shabbat. I just got back from Shabbat. Like, I kid you not, by the time I got to bed, it was midnight because I had to pick up somebody from work. And so I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to pack today. I'll just take it easy. But then all of a sudden a situation arose where I had to go find a car title for somebody that was in a lockbox, and I didn't know where that lockbox was. So I wound up having to rip apart my closet. The one person that was telling me, oh, it's in that closet. I'm like, no, it's not. And then they're like, yes, it is. I'm like, what about the one that you checked? And, oh, I didn't see it in there. So I go and rip up my closet. Okay, it's a big walk-in closet. So I have these big boxes, like these really huge boxes that now I have to go through and try to look for the lockbox. We found it in the other closet. I was right. It was not in this one. I tore it all apart. So I had to go through boxes, unpack and repack separating certain things from mine, and I wound up packing. So I know the Lord is with this moving bit that I was telling you about, because the natural disasters are starting up slowly but surely. That I saw that's coming. Jacob's sorrows is getting closer, and I know people are like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, whatever. Just believe what you want to. That's not my thing, is to just try to stay packing. And so I tell you, this is a proverbial long life packing. And so our house is actually also starting to fall apart. And, well, any wonder why we're supposed to be packing, right? But I was told we're going to go into holding, that there is a holding place for us, that these things that are coming are going to be huge. Anyway, that being beyond the point, I do have a coincidence here too. So I didn't tell this part to any of you, so this is a kind of like a secret part of me. So when I was 12 years old, sorry, I don't even think it was 12. I think it was actually 11 years old. My brother and my sister had made friends with this one person, and so they would sneak out of the house when my dad was at work, because my dad, he had an explosive temper and he was very abusive. None of us wanted to really be around that, and so they snuck out, and then they invited me to come along with them, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll just see what it's about, to see if I like it and whatever, because they were hanging around these guys that I guess were cool and had them taking in the world. And so, I mean, when I say that, I'm like getting high and things like that. It was their first experience. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll go and I'll check it out and I'll see, what it's about, because it seemed cool at the time. So we go with this guy, and his father was a known drug dealer. Did I know that then? No. I was young and dumb. And so his father liked to shoot at people. And see, we lived down in New Mexico. We were like 30 miles from the border, right? From Palomas and Columbus. And so this guy, I'm not going to mention his name, he happened to be a drug person and had drugs. And so if he caught anybody on his property or snooping around, he had gotten so used to, I guess, the police coming around, or people, he just was paranoid. I guess that's the right term. So he had a 12 gauge, and he would shoot at them on his own property. I'm not sure how he really got to get away with that, come to think of it. But so one day we're hanging out with this kid. His dad is gone, so he's like, oh, it's cool, my dad's gone, you can come and hang out with us. And so my brother, sister, and I, we were all minors, and we were hanging out with this kid. This kid was like a year older than me at the time. And so my brother must have been 10, I was 11, and then my sister was 6. We're hanging out with this guy, and all of us are, getting high or whatever. And then all of a sudden, he starts coming in and he goes, "My dad's here, oh crap, oh crap." And he used the other word for it, the SH word. "Oh crap, my dad's here. Run, run, you need to leave now or he's going to shoot you." And I'm thinking, what? He's going to shoot at kids. And so all of a sudden, no, his dad, he starts firing off rounds. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we take off running. And in order to get off this guy's property and get away, you have to run under barbed wire or, through it. And so, like, when I say through it, open the barbed wire and crawl through. So as we're in such a yank to get out of there because he's coming, you can hear him coming with his gun and he's shooting. My brother and my sister got through fine, but in my rush to help them get through, because I was opening the thing for them so they could crawl through, I was in such a yank because I usually could squeeze through there, but this time the barbed wire caught me. It caught the the back of my shirt, and thank God it was just my shirt, but then it impaled me in my leg, further up on my left leg, really close up. And so I was impaled on barbed wire, and this guy was shooting at me, and I had helped my brother and sister to get out of there, but I had to literally rip myself off the barbed wire, and my shirt was torn in half to get away. Did we get away? Yes, we got away, and I still don't get how this man got away with that at all. It just was not right. But anyway, so where I'm going with this is important if you can pay attention. I know it's hard watching me, right? Because I've had many of you who have left comment, like, occasionally, hey, don't be on here, don't be doing this, don't be doing that. You know what? I'm here just to share experiences and some oddities in my life. I figure make a fascinating story. So years go by from that experience, and of course I've had to dig out pieces of the barbed wire in the scar area myself because it was still there and it was kind of rusty. I'm surprised I didn't get lockjaw. We hadn't had tetanus shots. And so then years go by later, and we're in Utah, and then I have this dream where I'm in black and white. Normally my dreams are color, and all of a sudden there's this weird gray brick building, and there's this man in striped pajamas, and I knew him, and I didn't at the same time. And I could hear the drone of the warplanes overhead. And so I was in a rush, and it was cloudy out in my dream, and a drop of rain fell on my cheek as I'm looking up, and then I start running to this guy, and I needed to get him out of there. I knew that I needed to get him out of there. And so I rushed over there, and I was so willing to cut myself on the barbed wire, to put my arms on the barbed wire just so this guy could crawl over me and get out of there. But as I'm waking up, I hear, "Remember Auschwitz." Okay? I'm thinking, that's funny because I didn't think we had any in us. And so I'm like, I knew that we had the Viking ancestry. I knew that we had lords and ladies on my dad's side, from knights and kings and queens, like William Wallace is my 16th great grandfather. I have the House of Bourbon on my dad's side, King Louis the 16th. I also have the Corbins, the House of Corbin in Ireland, like Duke Corbin and the Earls, and over in Edinburgh. And even one of my ancestors was tutor to King James. And we have also the House of Worcester, and another relative of ours was Sir Walter de Beaufort, or Beaufort de Plantagenet. And so, yeah, there's royalty on my dad's side, and then my mother's had the Vikings, and both sides had Irish and Scottish in them. But we also have Basque, Spanish, and Portuguese, and we have Danish, and Icelandic, all of that. So we're mutts, basically. But that dream, okay, first ripping myself off the barbed wire, right? And then that dream, remember Auschwitz. And then all of a sudden, I did a DNA test. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So I did a DNA test on Ancestry.com. My cousin, she did one on 23andMe. Her sister did one on MyHeritage. Mine showed Ashkenazi, which was, a Jewish side. and hers showed it, and her sisters showed it, right? 3 different sites. And I told her, and so she wanted a screenshot of mine, because of mine on Ancestry, it even said where they came from, the Iberian Peninsula. It even named where they came from. And so I go to take a screenshot of it, and it disappeared, right? Well, I tell my cousin this, and a month later she took a screenshot of hers, went to go to, and hers had disappeared. But her sister's was still showing. And then a month after that, hers had disappeared. And so the Lord was pressing on my heart to check my family on my mother's side. And so I'm like, why? As far as I know, there isn't any there, but he said to check anyway. And so I found the name Remez, R-E-M-E-Z, where if you look it up, it means hint or allegory or hidden. And so, needless to say, I am marked. The 3 of us kids were marked with crosses. My brothers and my sisters were through accidents. Mine is a natural formed cross on the inside of my left wrist. I do have the 2 M's on my palms that run into X's. I don't do palmistry, but some people do. I have a 7 on the left of my arm. Okay, so between that, and then I started getting the weirdest things. I started getting these Hebrew codes coming in. It was just the craziest thing, because when they came in, it wasn't dreams that I had them. When the Hebrew code started coming in, I went into a vision, or like I was just waking up and opening my eyes, and all of a sudden there'd be these Hebrew symbols, and the first 2 were glowing. On the second symbol, I watched as the tail thing came in over it. But so here's my Hebrew code, which I have right now that I'm still trying to make sense out of. So the first one was H-E-I, hey. The second one was Z-A-Y-I-N, Zayn. The third one, forgive me if I'm pronouncing these wrong. The third one was Ket, C-H-E-I-T. The fourth one was Mem, M-E-M. The fifth one was Dalet, D-A-L-E-T. And the sixth one, if I'm counting these right, the sixth one was Ket again, C-H-E-I-T. And then there for a little bit, I didn't get any more. And then the next week, I got 2 in this order. I got Mem, M-E-M, and then Nun, N-U-N. So the first code's Hey, H-E-I, Z-A-Y-I-N, the second one, C-H-E-I-T, the third one, M-E-M, the fourth one, the fifth one, D-A-L-E-T, the sixth one, C-H-E-I-T. Then the week later, like I said, M-E-M, and then N-U-N. Then, just the other day, I had another one, and it was Q-O-F. I don't even know how to say that, but I know that these have significance. What they have, I don't know, but I feel like it's very important, and I wish I could understand everything that I'm getting, but these I get when I'm awake, like when I'm opening my eyes, and all of a sudden they'll come in my eyes like glowing. So that, and just tying up my birth date with it, is February 29th, 1976. I'm not only leap year, I am bicentennial. So I'm sure this is significant somehow, some way. I don't know. But again, I'm just sharing with you the oddities in my life. I know I had people kind of tell me about my birthday. They're like, oh, well, look, you're a bicentennial leap day fire dragon, because on the charts I am. Well, so I made a riddle, because this riddle is legit. So I was born with the sun at my head, the moon at my feet, born in the city of crosses, raised in the desert underneath. I am 4 currently. Well, my birthday comes every 4 years. I am 12 currently, sorry. But I also carry 200 years added to that. I don't keep time. Watches don't work and hands don't wind. I'm both fire and water. And so I just said, how is that? So I'll explain it real fast, because I know people just kind of get really odded, and I figured it'd make myself, interesting, getting to know me or whatever. So, born with the sun at my head, I'm a true Zia symbol. I was born in New Mexico, And Zia is every 4. The Pueblo believe every 4. My birthday's every 4. But what makes me different from all the other Zia born leap years is I'm bicentennial. Not every leap year was a bicentennial. And not only that, but how many Zias walked with the moon at their feet? I grew up walking in Luna County, the moon. So I have the sun at my head, the moon at my feet, and I was born in the city of crosses, Las Cruces, raised in the desert underneath and dimming. And so my sign, what everybody's going on about, oh, you're just fire and whatever. Yeah, okay, symbolism, I guess. But my middle name, Lynn, means water. Means waterfalls or peaceful pools, which lately, honestly, it's more like a raging waterfall. But I don't keep time. I never have. Because I would wear your digital watches. They would, after about an hour or two, start flashing. The hour would either be blank and the rest would just flash, or the time would be stuck and it would flash. And so for a while they thought it was just the batteries or poor quality watch. So they'd switch the batteries in that watch, and no, it still didn't work. It still refused to work. Well, then they'd buy me a different one. And again, it just didn't work. And so they went to wind-up watches. And so back in the day, they had these beautiful little heart necklace watches and bracelet watches when they were coming out, and I wanted one so badly because I was just a little girl and all my friends were getting these, so I wanted one. And so my mother, they had to scrape to be able to do this, but she got me one, and within an hour the wind-up watch that she had bought me, because they learned the hard way with the digital being the bracelet and the necklace, it flashed. So she bought me a wind-up watch. They bought me a Mickey Mouse wind-up watch. And about 2 hours later, beads of water had formed on the inside of the glass of that watch. And I didn't have it under any light. This is just me sitting in a classroom. And I'm looking at my watch in the classroom and I notice there's beads of water on the inside of the light. Did I get my hands in water? No. I did not get my hands in water. I was so proud of that watch because it took my parents everything they had to buy it for me. That's always sure to be careful with my watch. But my mother's like, okay, well, it's probably just because maybe it's just a knockoff quality or something. So she went and she found my grandmother, her mother's watch, which was a golden, was it a Timex or a Rolex? I don't know, but I know it cost a lot of money because it had diamonds on the inside of the, like the hours were like where the diamonds were around. And so she decided she's going to let me try to wear that one day, but as long as I was around the house, because she wasn't going to let me wear that to school. So I'm wearing the wind-up watch and just reading a book, and a couple hours later I look, and sure enough, beads of water had formed on the inside of that too. And so what happens when this happens, the hand goes back from 12 to 11 and it stays stuck there. The wind-up watches, they stay stuck. They don't work. I can't explain it. I have been watchless. I mean, it's a good thing these phones keep time, right? But anyway, I wanted to share my oddities with you because I think it makes people fascinating, I love it when people can learn about themselves in the sense of, hey, this is fascinating, It doesn't mean that I'm going to sit here and try to live my life like that. You've got to live your life how you've got to live it, and I'm choosing to do my best to follow God and kind of ignore people. But I also had somebody irritated me. Oh my gosh. And I know nothing about what they told me, but they told me they're like, oh, you fit the Enochian forbidden dragon queen. I'm like, the what? I never even heard of this. The Enochian forbidden dragon queen story. You fit perfectly. I'm like, crickets. But whatever, I don't look at it like that. I just wanted to share the angels that I had seen. I mean, those aren't the only angels that I had seen. For instance, I've also seen and heard angels sing, and they're so loud. They're magnificently horrible, like horribly magnificent. I got that backwards. Like, they're beautiful, but they're so loud that it hurts to hear them sing. And so in my one dream, there was an angel that came in to join us, and for some reason I was in battle somewhere. I don't know what I was doing in my dream, but this angel came down and two more joined him, and they were tall, they were huge. And I knew, next thing I know, this angel, they raise up the horns, and then they start singing praises. They're looking up real loud. And this angel, I don't know, it is wearing like a gold robe, and it has a belt around its middle, and it has golden bells and cranberries on it. It was really weird. But anyway, then they were singing, and they're really huge, but it stopped the war. The way they sung so loud, it stopped the war. Everybody quit fighting. And then another angel that I had seen in my dreams was my guardian is a sentinel. And so how do I know this? Because I was praying to Adonai to allow me to have some of my memories as a child, because my brother and my sister had childhood memories. They weren't good, but at least they had some crib moment memories together. And so I decided that I was going to pray to see if I could have some of my memories restored. And I prayed. As I prayed, I wound up in this dream back out at the house where I had grown up, and in the back of this person was, as I'm walking into the front yard, there were this angel, like this huge angel, and behind the angel was tombstones, like massive tombstones. And this was at the house where I was raised, and I knew those to be my memories, because see, I had been asking the Lord to restore my memories as a little child to me. And this angel was huge. He must have been like 9 to 10 feet tall, and he was in a kneeling position, and he was wearing armor, and he had his hands on a sword, like one cuffed hand on top of the other, holding the sword blade as he was bowing like that over the sword. And he had long black hair that went down to here, and he had these huge wings. They were like a light turquoise color that had holes in them, kind of looked like moth-eaten. But his gloves, he had the black gloves with the spikes, and he had the metal armor on, but he didn't have the helmet on. The helmet was down by his side, but he was kneeling. As I approached him, there's padlocks on his eyes, and as I got near to him, the padlocks disappeared, and his eyes opened like a regular human eye. But then he had another set of eyelids, and they would have slid back because the locks are over here, so I knew they were going to slide back. But as soon as I got within a few feet of him, all of a sudden it was like I knew that if he had if those padlocks disappeared and his eye opened like this, there's nothing going to be but white massive light. And so I knew it was a no. It was a no, because I felt like, no, I'm not going to do that, because then all of a sudden my hair on my arm stood up. And so I know him to be my guardian, and he's guarding those memories for a reason, and doesn't want, that's not who I am anymore, the past. Whether I have those deep childhood memories or not, that's not who I'm meant to be dealing with. And so I have had my share of angels, and I know that this angel was huge. He was kind of horrifying to look at because he was frightening. His appearance was fierce. He had this stern set to his jaw, and with his eyes closed, and just the cuffs, the metal spikes on the leather gloves that he was wearing with the metal armor, and the big sword that was down in the ground that he was kneeling over. I could not walk beyond those. I was not allowed to pass through there. But anyway, I just wanted to share some of my oddities with you. I have seen other things as well, not just that. I've had a big angel warn me too about somebody, and it was a huge angel, had the golden hair and the white robes. But I wanted to share the recent ones of the angel I saw with the eye in the center and the 4 wings, and his friend. And then the lady that had that canister of light was interesting, and those Jewish coats. Well, thank you for your time today. I hope you all have a good day, and I hope this video will at least, you know, give you a good story for you to listen to, even though they were my dreams and some of those were my visions. It can't be that bad, right? Have a good afternoon.